In April 2014, naval aviators narrowly escaped disaster. Just as they entered highly controlled airspace for a training exercise, their two F-18 fighter jets nearly collided with an unidentified flying object. To the frustration of dozens of their fellow aviators, such a near catastrophe was inevitable. One of the pilots involved in the 2014 near collision described the UFO as a dark cube inside of a clear sphere, with no wings or obvious means of propulsion. 4 months before and after the incident, aircrews flying in exclusive-use training areas off the U.S. East Coast frequently observed unknown objects exhibiting highly anomalous flight characteristics. Despite the collision hazard posed by the UFOs, aviators lacked a formal mechanism to report the mysterious objects. With aviation safety alerts as their only recourse, frustrated aviators and their commanders noted that the UFOs posed a severe threat to naval aviation and a critical risk to flight safety. Just days before the April 2014 incident, the squadron's exasperated commander wrote that, "It is only a matter of time before this results in a mid-air collision." A few weeks earlier, the skipper of another East Coast squadron warned, "I feel it may only be a matter of time before one of our F/A-18 aircraft has a mid-air collision." In one UFO incident, an aviator reported that he had never seen anything like this before. In another encounter, an aviator noticed an object with flight characteristics unlike anything he had seen in all his years of flying, implying a particularly anomalous encounter. Yet another pilot's report states that she had never seen a thing like it. And the UFO did not change position like an aircraft would and was too high to be a balloon. For fighter pilots armed with an array of advanced sensors, the confusion and bewilderment reflected in the reports are striking. One aviator had a difficult time explaining the UFO. In another incident, a pilot could only describe a UFO in a puzzled voice over the radio. Yet another aviator described a UFO that appeared, as odd as it sounds, to be a UFO. Former U.S. Navy pilot Ryan Graves described regular encounters that flight teams had with a black box UFO they saw every day. Are those cube-shaped UFOs balloons? But balloons do not remain stationary over the ground or move at 0.6 to 1.2 Mach for extreme durations. So, what can they be? Graves said that multiple pilots repeatedly witnessed a strange UFO phenomenon on their equipment, as well as with their own eyes, starting in late 2013. He said the pilots were seeing these objects by eye, and also on their radar after receiving upgrades to their aircraft. The objects were always up there, every day, as they conducted training exercises. "There were 2 aircraft from my squadron, and they took off in a flight of 2, he said. They are essentially flying in a formation like one diagonally in front of the other. As they hit the area, one of these objects went right between their aircraft. The lead pilot saw the object. He saw it, and he immediately came back." Detailing what the pilot saw, Graves said, "He came back and said, 'Hey, I almost hit one of those damn things.' We all knew what he was referring to even though we didn't necessarily have a name for it, just because we were seeing them so much." He described it. He said it was a black or dark gray cube, and that cube was inside of a clear translucent sphere. Essentially, the corners or the apex of that cube, as best as he could tell, were touching the inside of that sphere. Graves remains puzzled about the strange objects that he and his fellow aviators observed hovering in place irrespective of wind, or flying at several hundred miles per hour for remarkably long periods of time. According to Graves, we'd go on a flight in the morning, and they'd be out there. You go on a flight in the evening, and they're out there. They were pretty much always there when we went out there. Asked whether the UFOs could be mundane objects such as balloons and drones, Graves told me, "We don't see those out there, in training areas. I see those near airports. I see those over the continental US, but I don't see those in our working areas. We're way out there, in some cases hundreds of miles out to sea, and yet there's air traffic operating, and they're operating in ways that are befuddling our aviators," Graves said. If the mysterious objects were drones, Graves speculated, either they have some source of energy that allows them to stay airborne for very long periods of time, or there is some massive operation involving hundreds, if not thousands, of drones and boats, and they are constantly launching and landing, and somehow we haven't seen that. Moreover, training ranges typically begin 10 or more miles offshore, which, according to Graves, is a significant barrier for drones. Even if they were submarine launched, we would see them descending to the ocean at some point. We'd see something. Even if they just blew up, we'd see something, he said. Regarding balloons, Graves told me, I would occasionally see small party balloons at very low altitudes. I got balloons on my radar and then saw them visually. Usually, they're behaving in a predictable manner, moving with the wind, they're not moving very quickly. A few years after the 2014 incident, a test pilot flying in a nearby area told Graves of an encounter with such an object. According to Graves, a Cubanosphere UFO was just riding along with him, about 30 feet from the aircraft, before it zipped off. Ultimately, drones and balloons aren't that mystical to fighter pilots, Graves said. If I see them on the radar and I can see how they are moving and the airspeed, it's not going to confuse me. In stark contrast to the military's recent UFO reports, Graves said, there's no mystery with drones and balloons. More recently, one of Graves' former student pilots, along with a senior officer, observed one of the objects. As Graves' former student told him, they're still out here. The object looked exactly like what you said, a cube in a sphere. They're still here. From instructor to student, the UFOs now transcend at least one generation of fighter pilots. Nor are the encounters unique to the Navy. While he has not spoken with them directly, Graves is aware of a number of Air Force F-22 crews that are experiencing similar issues. In this video clip by Tim Ventura, Ryan describes circular patterns, more extended racetrack patterns. They'd see them stationary, they'd see them climbing and descending, and one was paralleling his friend's jet, then went up and out of his view.
See is that, yes, they weren't overland. I would see them going fastest when they were kind of just barreling east out over the ocean. We would see them kind of just east. I mean, they weren't like they were only in our area, and then they weren't like, I would see them kind of working their way east, right? So like there was traffic going this way. It wasn't just like they're in this one box and that was it, right? We'd see them kind of circular patterns, more extended racetrack patterns. We'd see them perfectly stationary. We'd see them kind of doing one of these or just kind of drifting up, right? So we'd see them climbing or descending or vice versa, right? They'd just kind of be doing like one of these up and down. So there'd be some like three-dimensional variability in the maneuvering, not just in the horizontal axis. And so like, what is this all, what is the pattern? I don't know. But it was strange. It wasn't just like one particular speed, it wasn't like super fast and then stationary, right? Like a go and a stop, right? It was less organized than that, I would say. And ultimately you don't know what the objective is, right? So that's what could be difficult with like, one of the things I worked on a little bit at BAE was, swarms, things of that nature, right? And being able to tell the objective what a swarm is focusing on, its attention on, is different than trying to understand what a single sensor is focusing on, right? And so when we do start to maybe perhaps look at this in a broader context as, swarm behavior versus the actions of individuals, maybe the patterns will become more clear. I have, just to continue though, I have seen, visual confirmation, I'll say, of similar objects in different areas, right, by similar aircraft. So, up in the Pax River area, closer to Washington, a friend of mine was flying up there, had a radar contact, and he basically was flying along. He saw it there, and then he was like setting up for his test, and he wasn't on his radar anymore. And then he caught a visual of something, and he basically spotted one of his eye. It was like paralleling his jet, and then it just kind of went up and out of his view, and it just looked similar to how I've already described it with the cube and the sphere, so I have heard of the appearance being similar across the coast and in different, training ranges.
What are your thoughts? please leave a comment below the video. Thanks for watching, and see you next time.